All right, welcome to another video. So last night I was on a stream, Farmer Fighter with Plato, and a lot of what I like to talk about is armaments, just because I feel like it's a very underappreciated or under explored aspect of the game. And afterwards I was getting some questions, and I realized that a lot of people are hoarding armaments. Okay, so if you guys know anything about hoarding, there's a couple reasons that experts think. But one of the reasons why they think people hoard is because there's this fear that they might need it in the future, and they don't want to have FOMO when they throw it out, right? Essentially, they don't want to make the wrong choice. And a lot of that is actually happening with armaments. And when you have too many, first of all, you're missing out on this pity system. So if I press I, and I scroll down right now, for every legendary armament you recycle of a formation type, for every 150, you can get either a rare, it's probably going to be a rare, or special inscription, which is really good. Also, as you have more and more things, it becomes more confusing, and it's almost like paralysis by analysis. Okay, and then also just if you have all these armaments that you're probably not going to use, but you're not recycling, you're missing out on a lot of transmutation stones, which capture upside. So today we're actually going to help you declutter your armaments. Okay, so my main account probably isn't a good example because I'd already done it, but I still want to show you guys a couple of things. So if you look at my instrument for wedge, this is the only thing I have, right? I just have these 9. I have nothing else. So usually when you have this, you either want to keep high upside armaments, and in this case, if you watch my last video, high upside is an armament with a really good inscription, or it already has at least 1, preferably 2, high or at least mid to high stats. Okay, so we'll click through this and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let's actually go through my calves first. So you can see here, this is my first cav armament for the instrument, and this is my second, right? The first one is obviously a little better than the second. These were just lucky rolls where I got triple stats, but there's no armaments there. If I was going to get something where I can inscribe this, that would make this from like a pretty good armament to a really good armament, because I could just directly inscribe this. So for this, I would say it can be better, but it's not a high priority for me to work on, right? If you look at my archer armament for instrument, I have 2 stats and 3s, and then defense is 1.6, and fit is health, right? So this one is pretty good, also not a high priority. My second archer inscription also has triple stats. Again, no inscription. Okay. Now, I run 6 marches, and then for infantry, I have 1 wedge and 1 arch. So for the infantry, guarded is what I have, right? So you can see there's 1 high stat, and then 2 lower stat. It's still a triple stat, so pretty good. Guarded is okay in my opinion. 10% chance to reduce damage by 20%. I would say it's mid. It's not bad, but it's not great. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right now I have 4 more I kept. These 2 are just on like barb chaining marches, I think, or they're all on barb chaining marches, but also they're my backup. Okay, so theoretically, if you think about it this way, if you were going to run 7 marches and you want to be absolutely sure of that you're never like leaving a stone unturned, you would have 9 armaments, because you would have 2 of each troop type. That's 6 marches, and then for the 7th one, you'll have 1 of each. Potentially, you could flex to archer, cav, or infantry. Most people aren't going to go that crazy. If you know you're never going to run 7 marches, honestly, I probably won't run 7 marches, but I just keep it just in case. Okay, so spirited, if you look at the inscription, I think it's actually one of the better ones. So when you have over 70% rage, you deal 5% extra damage. So guess what? When you launch an active skill, because your rage is full, you're going to do 5% extra damage, but also the normal attacks that you get in there, maybe it's 1, maybe it's 2 in between, you also get 5% extra damage. That's actually really good. So this one, even though it's a double stat, it's really low. And then depending on which one I'm missing, which in this case, the instruments are all in a pretty solid place. And if I did try to improve my instruments, it would be a low priority. I actually wouldn't save any of these. I would just start transmuting until I get one that's at least like a mid or high stat, right? Because if everything's already in a pretty good place, I can afford to be more aggressive. And because now we're not capped at 10, once I use up 10, if I don't have something better to use a transmutation crystal on to reset the 10, this is one I could potentially visit down the road. So this is why I kept this one. This one is just because it has like march speed. and it's just something I use on my CC to do barbs, and it has double stat and then barbs for the third ones, right? Just a barb armament. This one on my Lohar is 3 mid stats, right? Now this one is one I kept. It's worse than guarded because this one is also triple stats, and also I have inscription. This one, if I did get some kind of inscription where I could put it on there, I could potentially put it on here, and all of a sudden this one would boost ahead of my better wedge armament, which is why I decided to keep this one. And then finally, this last archer on Kira, right? This one, if I was able to get an inscription, this would be a great armament. Like if the inscription is just even average, this would be a great armament. So right now, I wouldn't take this. I wouldn't take this one on the Kira over the one on the Boudica or the Herman, right? Because the Herman has an inscription, but it's like a very high upside one. And that's actually just all the instruments I have, right? Everything else, I won't need it. So unless I somehow get lucky and get something that has higher upside, I would actually have to get rid of one of these where the upside is even higher. So like you don't need 4 high upside armaments, right? Because at most you're going to field 3 marches of the same troop type in this meta. So now, right, I'm going to keep this very, very tidy. Okay, if you look at, say, the Emblem, I have a little bit more. There's a lot more things going on here just because my Emblem isn't as good of a place. So if you look at my best cav, right, it's double cav and then all damage and smite, so that's in a good place. The cav 2 is also in a good place. If you look at my archer, it is not as good of a place. So this is my best one, right? It's double stat. It's not really even high. Daring is just like a mid. You get 2.5% more skill damage and that have barbs. Okay, and I've already used all 10 rolls, and the transmutation crystal isn't available. So, and this is my arch 2, right? It's triple stat, looks prettier. Actually, arguably less effective than this one, right? But if you give people the choice, they would actually usually probably pick the triple stat just because it looks better. This one, obviously, if I had an inscription, it would make it a lot better. So that's something I could wait on. But then I have some stuff waiting in the wings. Okay, so one rare inscription I have over here, I have on my Boudica. This one is a very high upside inscription because one, it is very hard to get special and double inscriptions for Emblem. You get literally like half the chance. It's like 1 in 2,500 something, according to like the last presentation or last video I made, right? So you're just not going to count on it. So rare inscription is probably going to be the best you can get. If I get lucky, I get a double inscription for this, great. But I don't have any double inscriptions for Emblem yet. So focus fire is 4% skill damage dealt. That's really good, right, compared to the regular inscriptions. And it actually already has a 3.2 attack. So for this one, what I'm looking is to upgrade this over this, right? So right now it's not better. It's probably pretty close, but it's probably not better. But I would actually just lock the archer attack and then roll for these two. And even if I get, let's just say like a 1.5 health, I'm not going to lock that, but by that point, if I get a 1.5 health, now that's usable. I would actually use this on my first archer set. I would flex this to my second archer set, and then I would actually just keep this kind of on hold, right? I want to delete it just in case I somehow get an inscription where I can inscribe this, and this would actually boost it ahead of the second one, right? If you look at some of the other ones I have, this is another one. If I got an inscription, actually, I could also potentially inscribe this, because if I inscribe this, 2 stats are already above 3, right? So even if I get unlucky, I mean, even if I roll like a 1.5 health with an inscription, this would be really, really good. So this one is something I could actually potentially take over this, right? And it doesn't feel good to just recycle this. But if I already have 3 things that are already better, with better upside than this, and this is something, if you're going to declutter, you're just going to get rid of. Because even though it's good, it's like, you know, if it's good and it feels painful to get rid of it, having something extra there is just cluttering and actually makes it harder for you to make a decision. Right now, these 2 are just on my bar marches. That's why it's down here. But you can see how there's like projects I'm working on, right? So same thing with the difference between this one. Focus Fire is a rare inscription, which also gives you, I already went over it, 4% skill damage boost. Right now, my best wedge emblem from infantry is this. It's mid. It's okay. It's triple stats and it has an inscription, right? But it's not high upside like this, right? Because this one I already have 3.5 attack. So if I was rolling this one, you can see right now I haven't rolled it at all yet. I would actually lock the attack only and then roll for defense and health, right? Because at worst, if I don't get anything, I'll just not replace it and I'll still have a double stat. I'm not even using it anyways. But if I did get, let's just say 1.5 health instead of 1.5 defense, great, that's an upgrade. I still wouldn't lock it. If I got to like maybe like 2.3, 2.2, for focus fire, I'll probably have actually for emblem, I would have lower standards. If I got like 2 or above, I would probably just lock it. Then you just roll for the third one. By the time I get something that's at 2 for this, let's just say it's 2 health instead of 1.5 defense with focus fire and 3.5 attack. I probably still wouldn't replace it, right? But I would be closer. So in the meantime, while I'm saving up transmutation stones to get this to a better place, I could just use the replacement wedge I have in the meantime. Okay, so this one, same thing, rapacious, right? Right now I can show you the 3% attack looks good, right? That should be a high upside. 1.5 damage is pretty good, but I already have this in a better place, and then this has higher upside, so that's already 2, right? And it's just very unlikely that I'll actually end up needing this one. So if I look, let's see, just to make sure, right? And then if I was gonna re-roll, rapacious, is it better than like 3.4% health? Probably not, and even then it would be a third march. This is one that I could actually probably just recycle, right? So I'm actually gonna unlock this, and just to put money where my mouth is, I'm gonna go recycle it to clean this up. It doesn't feel good, but you have to understand, like when you're doing this stuff, anything that's extras that's just sitting there that you're not going to use, even though it feels bad to recycle it, it's actually just a waste, correct? Because if I recycle this, okay, I think there's actually a bunch of other stuff that I unlocked. Okay, these, as they build up, you'll actually be able to pick a inscription, and also it moves you closer towards that pity where you get another rare or even potentially special inscription. So if you let's actually go look at the shop real quick. Right, so once you get 8, I'm at 5 right now, then you can actually start picking like an inscription for a flag, which would be really good. So for wedge, it's balance, right? It's, I mean, I told you just 5% at 70% rage is really good. This is even better, and you get 3.5% damage resistance, right? So if I, let's just say I get this flag for the wedge, and I come over here, right, one of these ones where I don't have inscription on it, I could put it on there, right? And if I was gonna do it, let's just make sure. I think it would clearly actually probably be this one. And you guys have to remember, it's just harder to get flagged at a good place. And once I put it on here, what I would probably do is I would lock defense and health and then just roll for attack to get it to a better place. But that would actually be a low priority, because if you already have a triple stat with a special inscription, right, even if the stat's low, there's other places to put your transmutation stone first before you get here. Okay, so hopefully this helps you guys out as far as making the decision. Honestly, at this point, if you have a blue or an epic, unless it's the best in slot, so it's something that is better than what you have, which means you should be using it, I wouldn't keep it at all. Like, these are just things that are on here for barb marches, but a blue or a purple, you should not lock it and save it. Like, there's no point. Okay, like, there's just no point. Like, if you have a legendary where you could reroll, or something with a high upside where you could reroll, or the inscription, that makes sense. But unless it's the best that you can do right now, which you should just be equipping it, just recycle that armament. Don't turn into one of the hoarders where you have all this upside that's just sitting in your armament inventory. Recycle it so you can actually put it to good use and make your armaments in a better place. And I did show my armaments yesterday on the stream, but you know, this is my Cav 1. This is Cav 2. This is Archer 1. Where I can see right here, the stat I'm missing is to get it basically all relevant and just the damage to barbs. This is Cav 2. This one is very low on inscriptions, right? But again, only one stat I need to transmute to get it to all relevant stats. And that's actually where you get the biggest upside, by the way. If you have something that's not something that can help you, like at least march speed, all damage, or just the relevant stats, that's where you want to focus on first, because even if you get 1.5, that's an automatic 1.5 boost. To go another 1.5, you literally need to get 3, right? Which is way harder to get. So if you have these rainbow stats where you don't have the stats, that's what you want to shoot for first. But once you're there, the armaments you're keeping on hand should be lower and lower. So you could declutter more and more and make it simple, right? Arch right now, we're only using it for infantry, but just in case, right, I do have something where I'm like, potentially I want to use something for calves and archer just in case it comes out. So right now I do have like a triple epic arch armament just in case we need smite damage for archers, but I don't plan on using it. But that's kind of how you plan all this stuff out. So hopefully after watching this video, you guys can squeeze out a lot more transmutation stones, maybe even hit that pity system where you get some rare inscriptions, because I didn't realize this at the time. I thought everyone was doing this, but I think a lot of people, because they have this fear of essentially FOMO of making a mistake or not sure which one to keep, they're actually missing out on a lot of potential that they're just keeping in their inventory. Again, if this helped, please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time.